This is a free version of our advanced logic games class. Welcome to all y'all free Demon students. I'm very happy that you're here. I'm happy that you're using all of the free resources that are available on lsatdemon.com. I hope you'll tell your friends about it. We really intend to have the very best free resources that are available anywhere. I think we already have the best free resources that are available anywhere, much more helpful, I think, than Khan. We will continue to make those resources as good as they can possibly be. And that's really the purpose of today's class, is to give you guys a helpful, real LSAT class. And this is being recorded and it'll live on for posterity among all the other free recorded classes that we offer to Demon free students. I have a helper here, Haley. Hi, Haley, from LSAT Demon. She's available if you want to ask any kinds of questions in the background. You can send Haley direct messages. You can ask her basic stuff about the LSAT. You can also ask her any question about LSAT Demon, our various levels of subscription, how the Demon works, anything at all. This is meant to be an advanced level class, so I am going to go pretty fast. We have a syllabus, which I'll put into the chat for you here. All of our syllabi are posted way in advance, and in some of our classes, including my classes, I ask that you do the homework ahead of time. Basically, you look at these games ahead of time and then show up and try to hang in there as I go through my explanations on the whiteboard behind me. If you didn't have time to do these games, that's okay too. Maybe hold your questions until the end, and we should have plenty of time. We've got an hour and a half to go over 2 games. That should be more than enough time to do full explanations for both of these games, and then also to answer any questions that you might have. Does that sound fair enough? Cool. You can always drop public questions into the chat. I'll get to those when I can. Haley will help me keep an eye on the public chat. Again, you can private chat Haley if you want to ask background questions as we go. I'm inclined to just go ahead and jump. Oh, Abigail's here as well. Sorry, I didn't see Abigail. Wherever you, there she is. Hi, Abigail. Hello. Okay, so we got Abigail and we got Haley here from LSAT Demon, and you can ask them whatever questions you want to ask. I am going to go ahead and dive right in. I want to do the second game first, just because I think that it's a little bit easier. So I'm looking at test 79, game 4, the one that says virus. Sorry, it's just taking a second for that game to load up. Might be because so many of y'all are here. Anybody else having a hard time getting that game to load? Yeah. Well, we can just chat while I wait for that game to load up. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm sure that Abigail and Haley will investigate and figure out what's going on.
Nathan, oh, you said that. Oh, you said that was the easiest one?
Of these two, Giovanna,
yes.
Giovanna, this is an advanced logic games class.
Yes.
This is an advanced class, which means that these 2 games will probably be harder than normal. The virus game, I believe, is the easiest of the 2. So we're going to start with that one.
No, it's just easy. Or the other one was not easy, but the other one I got through it. This was a tough one. That was that was
got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Where do we access the game? Is that on the website?
Yeah, go to lsatdemon.com, click on dashboard, click on classes, and you should be able to see today's class.
Thank you.
Yep, my pleasure. Okay, I look like I've got the game up here. All right, again, we're going to start with this computer viruses game from Prep Test 79. I've got two, if you're joining late, I have two helpers here from LSAT Demon. You can ask them whatever questions you want. That's Haley and Abigail. They have LSAT Demon in their screen name. So please use them as resources if you want to ask any questions in the background as I go. I'm going to go ahead and fire this up. This is test 79, game 4, and this is the game that made the internet blow up on the day of prep, when this was the official LSAT on its day. This made the internet blow up. Everybody thought, oh my God, it's a brand new type of game, and you're Nathan, you're never going to believe it when you see this game. And I've been doing this for a long time, and so I responded with like, well, I'm sorry it was hard for you, but I guarantee that it's not going to blow my mind when I see it, because there's one thing that all logic games in history have in common, which is they give you 100% of the information that you need to perfectly answer every question with certainty. And this game is no exception to that rule. This game is perfectly solvable. And your mission when you do these games is to perfectly solve every single question. And you need to know for sure that you are choosing the right answer. That's a kind of a intellectual hump that people need to get over at some point during their LSAT career. If you're ever going to be successful on these games, you need to get to the point where you're going to feel confident that you know for sure that you're choosing the right answer. You're just not going to answer a question unless you know for sure you're picking the right answer. Okay. That's where we're going. You're never going to be any good at all at the LSAT if you don't like get to that point at some point. Now, I'm not saying you have to be there today, but you're just never going to really do this properly until you get to that realization that, oh yeah, I'm supposed to solve these questions, not half-ass it and guess, but I need to actually solve it. All right, so this system that they set up for us here, in real life, it wouldn't actually be that complicated. I mean, what happens is we all roll into the office on Monday morning, and there are 6 computers in the office. Those are PQ, RST, and U. That's a pretty small computer network. One of them, it says, exactly one of them was infected by a virus from outside the network, and that virus was then transmitted between computers on the network. Each computer received the virus exactly once. Might want to pause there and just think about, okay, that's probably not how computer viruses work in real life. If a virus is running rampant through a network, it probably infects every machine 100 times, but in this system, the lazy test writers decided to make it so that there's a computer virus and it comes in and it's only going to infect each computer exactly once. So there's exactly one that got infected from outside the network, and then each other computer in the network is also going to get infected exactly once. You got to hang in there and just listen to the rules that they're giving you and accept those rules as fact. The following pieces of information concerning the spread of the virus have been established. No computer transmitted the virus to more than 2 other computers on the network. This is where people started to like panic and lose their minds, because they're like, wait, what? I'm not just putting 6 things in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's possible that it's one, and then that one goes to as many as 2 other computers. Oh my God. And they just like totally just give up. Like they just panic and give up. And it's just not that complicated, y'all. The first computer that got infected from outside the network, it's going to give the virus to either 1 or maybe 2 other computers. Okay. And every computer in the network is going to transmit to 0, 1, or 2 other computers. Fine. S, it says, transmitted the virus to exactly 1 other computer on the network. Okay, so we know that S transmitted to somebody, just 1, not 2, not 0, but exactly 1. S has to give the virus to somebody else. The computer that transmitted the virus to R also transmitted to S. Now, we want to understand that rule for what it says on its face, which is somebody gave it to both R and S. But we also want to go 1/2 of a baby step further. And we want to think about this in common sense. Like, what would we all be doing if we were in the office on Monday morning and every damn computer in the whole office had been infected by a virus? What kind of question would we be asking? What would we really be concerned about?
Who started it?
Serenity in the chat says, which one was first? Yeah, who did it first? Who was looking at porn on the computer, on the office computer, and got, or, you know, torrenting movies or whatever it was? But hey, who did it? Who is patient zero? And the second you read that rule that says the computer that transmitted to R also transmitted to S, that eliminates both R and S from being patient zero. One of our computers gave it to R and S, which means R and S are eliminated from potentially being the one that got infected from outside the network. That's a common sense question, but what happens to novices on LSAT logic games is they just like, they stop asking the common sense question. They go into this weird, no, this is the LSAT. This is scary and different and weird, and I don't understand this stuff. And it's like, okay, if this was your job, if this was your office, all y'all would have immediately realized that R and S can't be the one who was looking at porn on the office computer. The next rule says either R or T transmitted the virus to Q, which eliminates Q from being patient zero. The last rule says either T or U transmitted it to P, which eliminates P from being patient zero. And as Kareem has pointed out in the chat, that leaves only T and U as the possible patient zero. Looking at the rules a little bit further, there's a specific rule about T and U, which says one of them had to pass it to P. And if we go just a little bit deeper here, we're going to realize that there's a lot to say about T and U. I'll start with, and notice I haven't written anything down yet, okay? I think students start writing things down frantically, way too quickly, where experts are going to take more time and solve the system. All right. We know for sure that patient zero is either T or U. We know that somewhere later in the process, there's going to be somebody who's going to transmit the virus to both S and to R. We know that S has to transmit to exactly one other computer. And then we know that either R or T had to pass to Q. Now that's not like super helpful because R is here, R could pass to Q. T might be here, T could pass to Q. T could also be somewhere else and pass to Q. So that's not really helpful. So let me just leave that. I won't even write anything down. I'll just leave it for a second. Either T or U transmitted it to P. That's not that helpful either because patient zero could have passed it directly to P. Or if T and U are down here somewhere, then they could pass to P later on in the chain. Believe it or not, I'm almost done with my setup. I'm almost ready here to see if I can tackle these questions. I know for sure that I'm already ahead of like 90% of all other people doing this game, because 90% of people doing this game aren't going to make the realization that only T or U are available to be patient zero. I'm going to go one more step, which is actually going to put me like in the 99th percentile of all people doing this game, to think about who S can possibly pass to. S cannot pass to R because there's somebody here who passed to both S and R. So S can't pass to R. S can't pass to itself. That doesn't make any sense, right? S isn't going to pass to S. Okay. S can't pass to Q because of the fourth rule. That has to be R or T that passes to Q. S can't pass to P because the last rule says either T or U must pass to P. So now think about it. S can't pass to R or S or Q or P, which leaves only T and U again for S to pass to. So I know that one of T or U is patient 0. And I know that the other T or U must be the one that S passes to. And at that point, even look how little I have written down. But this is a better setup than 99% of what everybody else is going to do, because everybody else is going to have a whole bunch of disconnected, just random writing the rules down individually, where an expert is solving the system. Kareem suggests worlds here in the chat, and I'm sympathetic to that view, Kareem, but I don't think I'm going to do that, because I think that what Kareem probably wants to do is make a world where T is patient 0 and a world where U is patient 0. And I would sometimes do that. And if you did that, it's certainly not going to take very long, and it's not going to be like a huge waste of time. But you're also just not going to learn very much more about those two worlds. I think that that is pretty neatly already captured in this setup. So splitting it into two, like all you're really going to do is know which one is U and which one is T. And I'm not sure you're going to make any more baby steps after that. Therefore, I'll probably just leave it right there. Okay, so the only thing that's left now is, where does Q go? Where does P go? And Q is going to have a bit of flexibility, right? Q can be passed to by R or T, which means Q could be here or here or here. And then P has to be passed to by either T or U. So P could go here or here. And what's happening then is, from this point, and this is really the point of doing a good setup, whether you use one world or two worlds or however you set it up, the point of making a good setup is so that you get to play a simpler game going forward. I mean, I've made a few baby steps. All I have left is a fairly trivial amount of flexibility. And so now I think I get to go answer these questions, and I'm probably just going to knock them out, because there's just not that much, there just aren't that many moving parts left from here. Let's see if I'm right. Number 18 says, one possible route of the virus from the first computer in the network to Q is what? Okay, so where can Q go? Now remember, the fourth rule said that either R or T has to pass to Q. So Q could be here. If this is T, it could just go TQ. Q could go here because RQ is fine. Q could also go here. If this is T, it could be TQ. So let me see if any of those are captured in any of these answers. A says from R to P to T to Q. Man, that seems very difficult, right? R to P. Wait a second, that already breaks a rule, because I have a rule that says either T or U must pass to P. So R to P is not allowed, so A is out. All I need is one bit of it to be wrong to make it 100% wrong. So A is out. I apologize if the daemon is being a little bit slow right now. I just noticed that when I tried to eliminate that answer choice, I'm getting the spinning wheel of death, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Demon is having a hard time today. Abigail and Haley, you got Ben on it. You told him. Thank you. All right. B says, what happens? B says, is it allowable to have T to S to R to Q? T to S to R to Q. T to S, I think would work. Oh, but S can't pass to R, so that gets rid of B. C says, how about T to S to U to Q? T to S is fine, to U is fine, but U to Q is not fine because only R and T can pass to Q, so that gets rid of C. D says, how about U to P to R to Q? U to P, that is allowable. To R, that's fine. To Q, that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with D, so provisionally D is going to be my answer. I just now have to get rid of E. E says U to T. No, U to T will never work because I know that one of them has to go first and one of them has to go after S. So U to T eliminates E, and the answer for number 18 is D. I'm hoping that I'm going to move on to the next question. Yes, okay, it loaded. Number 19 says, which one of the following could be the computer that was infected from outside the network? The answer can only be T or U. And I hope you guys recognize here that if you ask some basic common sense questions and you just kind of follow the breadcrumbs, then you're predicting the answer to a question like this before you even read the question. The answer for number 19 is E, because patient 0 has to be either T or U. Number 20 says, if T did not transmit the virus to any other computer on the network, which one of the following must be true? A couple things happen if T didn't transmit to anybody else. And here I probably would draw out a special version of this solution. If T didn't pass to anybody else, then U has to be patient 0. Not only that, but R is going to have to pass to Q. S is going to have to pass to T because T wasn't patient 0, so T has to be the one that S passes to. The only player that's left is P. I know that either T or U has to transmit to P. If T didn't transmit to anybody, then U had to transmit to P. P had to transmit then to both S and R. And so if T didn't transmit to anybody else, as it turns out, this is the only solution to the game. From there, you can ask me anything you want. Which one of the following has to be true? Does P have to transmit to S? Yes, it does. That's going to be the answer. Does Q have to transmit to R? No, R has to transmit to Q. Does U have to transmit to S? No, that can't be true. P didn't transmit to anybody else. That must be false. R did not transmit to anybody else. That also must be false. The answer for number 20 is A. It's the only one that must be true when T doesn't transmit to anybody else. Number 21, any of the following computers could have transmitted the virus to 2 other computers on the network, except who can't transmit to 2 other computers? Well, I know S can't because it said explicitly that S only transmits to 1 computer. So if this were a really easy question, that would be the answer. It turns out that S is not listed, so it must be somebody else who can't transmit to 2 people. Because of this solution, my solution that I made for number 20, I know that P can definitely transmit to S and to R. I don't see any reason why T and U can't transmit to S and to R. So, the answer must be R or Q. And I think probably Q can, because I'm thinking if I start with T and then I immediately go Q, Q could transmit to both S and R. I think the answer here is going to be R. Now, why can't R transmit to 2 people? It's actually simpler than you think. Look at the starting setup of the game. what two people would possibly be available for R to pass to? It's not going to be U or T. It's not going to be S. So the only two people that would even be available are Q and P, but R can't pass to P. So the only player, as it turns out, the only player that R can even ever pass to is Q. And because of that, the answer for number 21 is C. Number 22 says the spread of the virus among the computers is completely determined if which one of the following is true. Completely determined means you know everybody in every spot. I would like to point out that my solution for question number 20 was completely determined. I knew exactly how the whole virus went through the whole network. The spread is completely determined if which one of the following is true. So if R transmits to Q, am I going to know everything? I really doubt it. I mean, if I put RQ here, I still don't know who patient 0 is. How about if T transmitted to Q? I don't think so, because I think T could transmit to Q right here, but T could also transmit to Q down here. So I don't think that's going to do it. I'm looking for something that's going to lock all the variables into exactly one spot. How about if T transmitted to S? If T transmitted to S, then T is definitely patient 0. And T is going to transmit to just S and R, which means there's nobody else in between. So right away, C has me thinking about this right here. That means S has to transmit to U. But I've still got Q and P left. T can't transmit to Q, so U has to transmit to Q. But I've still got P left. Oh, wait, sorry. I got this wrong. My bad. This isn't Q. Either R or T transmitted to Q. It's not going to be T, so it has to be R. Because remember, there's a 2 maximum. You can only pass to 2 other computers. So when T transmits to both S and R, that means T can't transmit to Q. So R has to transmit to Q. The only thing that's left is P. Either T or U transmitted to P. Oh yeah, T can't transmit to P in this world, so U has to transmit to P. As it turns out, for question number 22, when T transmits to S, you end up with exactly that solution, which is completely determined. So the answer for number 22 is going to be C. Felicia says, but S can only pass to exactly 1. And yeah, S is passing to exactly 1. And then that 1 is passing to another 1. All right. Would D do it? Just to be sure. I mean, I think the answer is C, but I'm always going to look at all 5 answers just to be sure. How about if U transmits to P? I don't think so. I think you could transmit to P right here. I think you could also transmit to P down here. So I see 2 ways of doing it. How about if U transmitted to R? If U transmits to R, then U transmits to both S and R. The problem is Q could still come from R or from T in that scenario. So it's almost determined, but it's not completely determined. So the answer for number 22 is C. Number 23, if P is the only computer that transmitted the virus to 2 other computers on the network, which one of the following must be true? Well, I'm going to make another new diagram here. So hopefully you guys can see it down here. If P is the only one that transmitted to 2 other computers, then P has to be the one that transmits to both S and R. Then someone has to pass to P, but see, that can still be T or U. S still passes to either U or T. Where does Q come from? Q has to come from either R or T. And I think, yeah, I mean, that could happen here. It could go TQ, or it could happen here. It could go TQ, or RQ would be fine. So I still see 3 different places where Q could go. Which one of the following though must be true? Did S transmit to T? No, could be SU. Did T transmit to P? Could be, but it could also be U transmitting to P. Q didn't transmit to any other computer on the network. That doesn't have to be true because it could be TQP. R did not transmit to any other computer on the network. No, because it could be RQ. U did not transmit to any other computer on the network. Oh, sorry. Thank you, John. Q can't transmit to P. My bad. So it can't be TQP. Right, because only T and U can transmit to P. Thank you. Okay, so it's either going to be RQ or it's going to be TQ. There it is. Both ways, Q can't transmit to anybody else. So the answer for 23 is C. That's an example of one where, you know, I didn't see it on the first time through the answer choices, but I also wasn't going to choose a wrong answer. So I would have eliminated all 5 and then kind of gone, ah, shit, what did I do wrong? Okay, I'm going to go back and figure it out. Anyway, the answer to number 23 is C, because Q is going to have to be either here or here and not transmit to anybody else. And that's the game. Sorry for the demon glitches. Hopefully we will get that sorted out. Any questions about this game before I erase my whiteboard?
I only have one question on the
Sure.
part where it says, I forget what number, but what can only pass to one other one? You said letter U could not be the answer. Could you demonstrate how U could pass to 2? I just want to make sure I understand.
Right here, right off the bat. If U is patient 0, you can easily pass to S and R.
Oh, okay, I see it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Oh, Kareem has a question in the chat that says the inference about R only being able to transmit to Q, is that an inference that one should try to identify while setting up the chart? Kareem, you should try to learn as much as you possibly can about every game while doing your setup and before you dive into any questions. That said, you know, you don't have to be perfect to be really good. And sometimes the perfect can be the enemy of the good if we like insist on sitting there for 20 minutes trying to learn every single possible thing. So if you had realized that, yeah, there's only one player who could possibly even be here, and that person is whoever it was again, Q. If you realize that the only person R could pass to is Q, then that's great, but it's certainly not necessary to be successful in this game. And I mean, I've done the game 10 times, and in my setup today, I did not make that realization. So you shouldn't, you know, freak out about not making that realization. I think probably 1% of all test takers are gonna make that realization before confronted with that issue on that question. And then, you know, hopefully you'll figure it out when you do the question. Cassie says, how long do I think this game should take realistically? Realistically, Cassie, I think the first time I ever saw it, it took me 5 or 6 minutes. I just don't think that this game is that hard. If you hang in there and you just kind of like take each rule by itself and understand what it means, and then you start combining the rules together and asking questions like, oh, I wonder who patient 0 was. If you start asking those real common sense, basic questions, I think you can figure out pretty quickly that only T and U are eligible to go first, which is the answer to one of the questions, and certainly helps you to make solutions for the remaining questions. So yeah, I think that this game was gettable in 5 or 6 minutes, probably. Any other questions before we move on? I'll open it up to just a general Q&A at the very end. We've got an hour and a half today, and that was only 35 minutes, even with some technical issues. So we should have plenty of time. All right, this other game, this is from Prep Test 74, the third game, the one about the rugs. I'm always gonna read the whole setup first. I'm gonna read everything before I write anything. And that's a key to all games, okay? Whether this was a typical game, you know, something that you're really familiar with, like, for example, just putting 7 things in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or another typical, you know, like a grouping game where it's like, hey, there's either spring or fall, and you're just putting things into 2 groups. I'm still gonna not, I don't believe in like memorizing templates. You just can't. Maria in the chat says, how do I set up unusual games like this one? And it's like, Maria, half the games are unusual games. I mean, you need to expect games to be unusual, and you need to be looking for an improvisational approach always, rather than like thinking that you're going to have, oh no, I'm good at this type and that type, but then I don't know about these unusual ones. Really, we're always going to be improvising a solution, and you need to kind of embrace an improvisational approach. Otherwise, you're going to start to panic every time you see anything that's at all unusual. And I mean, most games are unusual. This game to me is kind of unusual. Like, what? You've got 3 rugs, but you've got 6 colors available, but we're only going to use 5 out of the 6 colors. Whoa. Okay. Each color can only be used once. Okay, so we are going to use 5 of the colors. We're not going to use 1 of the colors. Got it. The rugs are either solid, that is woven in a single color. Okay, I don't think you needed to give me the definition of solid. I get it. It's going to have 1 color. Or multicolored, which they don't define, but I understand what multicolored means. Okay, the rugs must be woven according to the following rules. It's not as complicated as you think. We've got 5 colors available, or sorry, 6 colors available. We're going to use 5 of them. 1 of them is going to be left out. Then we're going to do 3 rugs. They're either going to be solid or multicolored. Got it. First rule says, in any rug in which white is used, 2 other colors are also used. So white cannot be in a solid rug. White also can't be in a 2-colored rug. White is going to be in a 3-colored rug, or else it's not going to be used at all. And that does have me start thinking about possibly making worlds, a world where white is not used and the other 5 are, and a world where white is used, and in that world, white has to be used with 2 other colors in a multicolored rug. By the way, if we did that, then that means that there's 2 other rugs that are going to have exactly 1 color each, because I only have 5 colors total. This is just baby steps, y'all, but most of you just rush through, like you let the whole thing wash over you and nothing goes in. I'm taking it 1 piece at a time, and I'm kind of learning as I go. I'm not writing anything down, but I am learning. Like, if white is used, then there's 3 colors in that rug, which means there must be 2 solid colored rugs remaining. You're going to run out of colors if you try to do it in any other way. All right. Second rule says, in any rug in which olive was used, peach is also used. Okay, so olive cannot be a solid colored rug. Olive requires peach. Now there could be another color there. So like, for example, white, olive, peach would work. Okay. Forest and turquoise hate each other. Got that. Peach and turquoise hate each other. Got that. Notice that turquoise is used in both of those rules. So turquoise is like a problem. Turquoise probably is going to be left out a lot. Turquoise might be in a solid rug, but turquoise is never going to be in a multicolored rug with forest and peach. Then peach and yellow also hate each other. So peach now has two different colors that it can't be used with. So turquoise is kind of a problem and peach is kind of a problem. White is really a pain because white requires two other colors. And I am going to build worlds for this game. I'm probably going to start with white in and white out. And then I might end up splitting further from there. Let's see. Again, I've done this game 100 times, but I probably have done it 99 different ways. I am not like memorizing a solution and applying it. This is not like take a square peg and just cram it into a round hole. This is hang in there, understand the rules, and do the best I can. You have to do something, right? Get the pencil on the paper and start doing a thing. Here, I'm going to try to eliminate rules by making worlds. The purpose of making worlds is to eliminate rules. I don't know anybody who's good at the games who doesn't make worlds sometimes. I make worlds on probably 75% of all games. I didn't do it on the game we just did, that computer viruses game, but I do it on probably 3/4 of all games. And the reason why I do it is because I'm going to eliminate some rules and it's going to simplify my life. So I'm going to make a world where white is in and a world where white is out. And the reason why I'm going to do that is that once I do it, I'll never have to think about if white is used, then it has to be used with two other colors. Okay, I want to let that drop out of my consciousness so that I have more processing power available to deal with the remaining rules. So white can be in or out. All right, when white is in, then it has to be in with two other colors, which would then leave two rugs with one color each. In all other solutions, white is out. And think about how to deal with this. When white is out, I don't necessarily have to have a 3-colored rug, but I might have a 3-colored rug, or I might not have a 3-colored rug. If I don't have a 3-colored rug, I think I have to have a 2-colored rug and another 2-colored rug and a 1-colored rug, a solid rug. Right? Think about it. I have to use 5 colors. I have to fill 3 rugs. The only way to do that is either 3-1-1 or 2-2-1. That's the only way you're going to divide 5 colors over 3 rugs. So in the world where white is out, I could have 3-1-1 and then no white. Or I could have 2-2-1 and no white. When I use a box like this, that's just a little bit of a shortcut for me to think about, okay, there's only one color in that rug. You don't have to use that exact same notation, but that notation to me makes perfect sense. So this world is white's in with 2 other colors, and then there's 2 solid colored rugs, and I don't know who the out spot is yet. But in the other 2 solutions, white's out, and it's either a 3-colored rug and 2 solid rugs, or it's a 2-colored rug, another 2-colored rug, and a solid rug. And at that point, I now no longer have to think about if white is used, it's used with 2 other colors. I'm not sure whether this is going to be a home run or not, but I don't care. That first rule has been eliminated, and now I get to look at these other rules. The second rule says, if olive is used, peach must also be used. Now, in this world and in this world, olive has to be used because peach is already out. There's only one color that's not used. So if white isn't used, olive is used. olive requires peach. So in this world, olive has to be with peach in the 3-colored rug. In this world, olive has to be in one of these 2 rugs. It doesn't really matter because these are 2 fungible 2-colored rugs, but I'll put olive and peach in one of them. That's the only way to do it. With me so far? Now in this world, I don't know yet whether olive is used. And I'm almost done with that rule. I would like to, if I can, I would like to eliminate that rule. And so what I might do here is split this world into 2. I'm going to make a world where olive is used and a world where olive is not used. In the world where olive is used, olive requires peach, and that can only happen in this 3-colored rug. So that's going to be white, olive, and peach together. In the world where olive is not used, olive is not used. And so the rule doesn't apply. What I have now is 4 worlds, and I have completely eliminated the first 2 rules. And I know that some of you are sitting there going, oh my God, this is way overly complicated. But I promise you that I'm doing this to simplify the game, not to make the game more complex. I don't have to think about the first rule anymore. I don't have to think about the second rule anymore. So I'm playing a simpler game from here. In fact, the only rules that I have left are just pairs of colors that hate each other, okay? So forest, turquoise, and yellow are left. In this world, I don't care that forest hates turquoise and peach hates turquoise and peach hates yellow, because the peach has already been sequestered. Forest, turquoise, and yellow are left. And 2 of the 3 are going to be solid rugs. One of them is going to be out. And so this world is totally completed. I just don't know which of the solid colors I have. Forest, turquoise, and yellow hate each other. Sorry, forest and turquoise hate each other. I'm going to write them down actually. Forest and turquoise hate each other. Peach and turquoise hate each other. Peach and yellow hate each other. And then I'm going to think about the implications from there. Notice that up here in this world, again, I don't care. Forest, turquoise, and yellow. Oh wait, I do care because peach hates turquoise and peach hates yellow. So peach has to have one other color here. Can't be turquoise, can't be yellow, has to therefore be forest. That's just a baby step. I'm left with turquoise and yellow. Oh, so one of them is one of those solid rugs and the other one is the other solid rug. And now that world is complete. I'm playing a simpler game, y'all. I have simplified the game. All I have left is these 3 pairs that hate each other. And it's just trivial from here. Looking at this world, I have to use peach. Peach can't be with turquoise or yellow, but it could be with forest. So this can actually be peach and forest. Otherwise, peach could be one of the solid rugs, which gives you a little bit more flexibility in this world. Over here, I'm left with forest, turquoise, and yellow. I have to use all 3 of them. This can't be forest and turquoise together. Therefore, this has to be forest or turquoise. That means that yellow has to go in this rug with either forest or turquoise. Now this world is complete. The only thing I have left really in this game is this world. If I had more whiteboard space, I might split this into 2 based on, basically where is turquoise or where is peach? Because I know that turquoise is a problem and I know that peach is a problem. But I really think I'm probably done here. Let's see, this can't be forest and turquoise. It also can't be peach and yellow. I might be able to say I'm having a hard time seeing it, which is like sort of the value of splitting it. If I had more whiteboard space, I would split this. I think it's possible that like I think forest or yellow probably has to go here. It doesn't have to be forest and yellow though, because it could be forest and peach, or it could be turquoise and yellow. There's a couple different ways to do it, but that actually might be it. This might literally just be forest and yellow or turquoise and peach. I'm open to that possibility. I don't really see another. Oh wait, so Sammy says turquoise and yellow. Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. So okay, so there's a few different combinations here, but this is basically done. I just don't know what my solid colored rugs are. This is exactly done. There's only one way to do it here. Here, I just don't know which one's forest and which one's turquoise. And then here I have a bit of flexibility. And at that point, I would go ahead and tackle the questions. All right. Number 11, which one of the following could be the colors of the 3 rugs? This is a list question, and I'm always going to do a question like this by process of elimination. So I'm going to look for white. I'm going to make sure that white has 2 other colors with it if it's used. A has white with 2 other colors, that looks fine. C has white with 2 other colors, that looks fine. E has white with only 1 other color, that is not fine. So the rule about white eliminates E. Anytime you have olive, you have to have peach. A has olive with peach, so does B. C has olive without peach, so C is out. D has olive with peach, so that's fine. Forest and turquoise hate each other, so I'm just scanning for forest and turquoise. Oh, that gets rid of D. Peach and turquoise hate each other. That doesn't do anything to the remaining 2 rules. I'm already down to both just A and B. Peach and yellow hate each other. That gets rid of B. So by process of elimination, my answer for number 11 is A. And notice that I just totally disregarded my worlds to answer that list question. I just used one rule, knocked out answers, another rule, knocked out answers. Eventually, I tested all the rules and I had only one answer left. Number 12, which one of the following must be true? There are no multicolored rugs in which forest is used. That's not true. I have a world right here where forest is used in a multicolored rug. I think forest can be used in a multicolored rug here and here. That's a pretty terrible answer. No multicolored rugs for turquoise. That's also wrong here. I think it's wrong here as well. Peach has to be used. Olive requires peach. If peach were not used, then I wouldn't be able to use olive either. But I have to pick 5 out of the 6 colors. Make a note of this because this is actually a really common pattern in LSAT logic games. When one player requires another player, it's very common that that other player, the required player, here it's peach, that required player is going to get forced into the in group a lot. O requires P. So when O is in, P has to be in. But because there's only one out spot, if O is out, P also has to be in just because you need 5 colors. And that happens a lot. So the answer is C for number 12. I will note here, thank you, Demetria says, are we not going to do the if questions first? And yeah, I don't always do that, Demetria. It can be really helpful sometimes, especially if you hadn't made worlds. When I make worlds that I feel really confident in, I tend not to go hunt down those if questions first. It wouldn't be a problem to do it, but I don't think there would be much value in doing it either because my worlds are pretty robust here. Doing the if questions first is a technique that can help a lot if you're really struggling with the setup. But if you have a good setup, I just usually don't bother. If one of the rugs is solid peach, which one of the following must be true? So what world am I in if one of the rugs is solid peach? I'm not in this world, and I'm not in this world, and I'm not in this world. So I have to be in this world. And I have to be specifically in a version of this world. Now, don't do what I'm about to do. I have a whiteboard. I have dry erase pens in different colors. You're not going to have dry erase pens in different colors when you're doing your test. So I would, on the real test, I would just make a new diagram. Here, I'm going to just make a version of this using 2 different colors and then erase it. I wouldn't do that on the real test. Anyway, if peach is a solid colored rug, I can't be in this world or this world or this world. I have to be in this world. Peach as a solid colored rug, then what happens from there? Well, I've only got forest, turquoise, and yellow left, but forest and turquoise hate each other. So I can't put both forest and turquoise here, which means I have to put yellow here with either forest or turquoise, and then this solid rug is either turquoise or forest. And that's my solution for number 13. Again, in real life, I would just make a version of this somewhere else on my scratch paper. You have plenty of scratch paper on the test. Okay, now which one of the following must be true? One of the rugs is solid forest? No, doesn't have to be. One of the rugs is solid turquoise? No, it doesn't have to be. It's one of those, but it's not either of them. One of the rugs is solid yellow. Nope, yellow is with white. Forest and white are used together. Nah, doesn't have to be. Forest could be solid. White and yellow are used together. Yep, sure enough. When peach is solo, I'm in this world, which means yellow has to go with white because forest and turquoise can't go together. The answer for number 13 is E. Number 14, and so now I'm going to erase this red pen. All right, number 14 says, if there are exactly 2 solid rugs, then the colors of those 2 rugs can't be what? Well, they could definitely be turquoise and yellow. They could also be forest and yellow. There are some possibilities here and here. It could be any 2 of the 3 of white and turquoise, forest and turquoise and yellow. Forest and peach, is that possible? In this world, it can't happen anywhere else besides here. If I put forest and peach, I would be left with turquoise and yellow, but that works. So forest and peach is fine. How about forest and yellow? That could happen in this world. It could probably also happen in this world. Oh, and in this world. So it's really easy to have forest and yellow as solid rugs. Peach and turquoise as solid rugs. I would be in this world, peach and turquoise. I'd be left with yellow and forest, but that works. Peach and yellow. I'm not seeing it. Can't happen here, here, or here. Would have to be in this world where olive is out, obviously. Peach and yellow. If this was peach and yellow, I'd be left with forest and turquoise, but forest and turquoise hate each other. And so that's going to be the answer. Let me just make sure that I can have turquoise and yellow yeah, sure. I mean, that happens here. It has to happen here. Real easy to have turquoise and yellow as 2 solid rugs. The answer for number 14 is D, because you're just never going to end up with peach and yellow as solid colored rugs. Number 15 says, if forest and peach are used together in a rug, which one of the following could be true? That happened here, forest and peach. It also can happen here, forest and peach. So to answer number 15, I have to be here or here. Which one of the following could be true? 1 solid rug? No, there's 2. For forest and peach to be together, I'm either here or here, and those are both worlds where there are 2 solid colored rugs. White is not used. Yeah. This world has forest and peach together. White is not used, and that's going to be the answer. I hope to convince you guys that the fact that I made those worlds made that question a hell of a lot easier. I mean, I already have a world on my board where Forest and Peach are together, but white is not used. And if you hadn't made the worlds, then you would end up like testing answer choices. And I really don't want to be testing answer choices if I can avoid it. It's kind of a rule of thumb on the logic games. If you find yourself testing answer choices a lot, you probably could have done a better job with your setup. Sometimes you're going to brute force it, but that shouldn't be your default mode. Like anybody can answer all these questions if you're allowed 2 hours to just brute force every question. You're not allowed 2 hours to brute force every question. You need to solve the system. And the way I like to solve these systems is frequently by making worlds like this. And then I have predicted the answer to many of these questions. So I end up doing a lot less brute forcing. Anyway, the answer for number 15 is going to be B. Can I put Forest and Peach together without using yellow? Yeah, Forest and Peach together without using yellow. No, that's not possible in any of these worlds. Turquoise and white together while Forest and Peach are together. Turquoise and white. Now it's just like what my experience now is like, well, I just don't see that in any of my worlds. It's not possible. Turquoise and white and Forest and Peach. No, 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 no. Turquoise and yellow and Forest and Peach. No, 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 no. The answer for number 15 is B. Number 16, if one of the rugs is solid yellow, any of the following could be true except, okay, so for one of the rugs to be solid yellow, this is the last question in the game, so I'm going to go ahead and just cannibalize my main diagram. If one of the rugs is solid yellow, then I am not in this world. I certainly could be in this world. I could be here. One of the rugs is yellow with either Forest or Turquoise as the other solid rug, and I could be here. But that then means that in this world, I've got Forest, Turquoise, Peach. Forest and Turquoise hate each other. So this is either Forest or Turquoise, Peach, Turquoise. Oh, wait, Peach also hates Turquoise. So this has to be Turquoise. And then this is going to be Peach with yellow. So there's a bunch of different ways that I can have, oh, sorry, not Peach with yellow. Yellow is solo. Peach with Forest, sorry. So here I've got a little bit of flexibility, or it's exactly this or exactly that. Any of the following could be true except exactly one solid colored rug. Now, nope, it's two solid colored rugs. That's going to be the answer. Is it okay to have one solid Forest rug? Yeah, that would have happened here, could happen there. Turquoise is not used. That can happen here if I use Forest here. Forest and olive are used together. That happened here. Peach and white are used together. Happened here and here. Answer for number 16A must be false when one of the rugs is solid yellow. And that's the game. And that's our scheduled content for today. Thank you, Indira. Says this game is so easy after you explain it. The truth is it's actually easy. The LSAT is easy. Ben and I are working on a book right now entitled The LSAT is Easy.
Honestly, can I?
Sorry? Yeah.
Honestly, it's like once you put all the worlds, I got all the answers before you even went through. And I got all of them right because the worlds are so clear.
Yes.
And
That's
it's
why
so
we do
easy
it.
after that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, hey, I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I get to explain stuff that I promise you makes perfect sense. Okay. I have an extremely satisfying career because it makes perfect sense to me and I get to make it make perfect sense to you. And it is a dream career that I have because and all you really have to do is just kind of slow down a little bit. You need to put the pieces you need to understand each piece individually. You need to start putting the pieces together. You do need to practice a lot Fortunately, we have 400 of these games that we can practice with, almost 400 of these games that we can practice with. And you don't need to do all 400, although some of you will do all 400 before you take your official test. Do 100 of them and see how you feel. You'll start feeling better after 100, I promise. And do another 100 after that, and you'll start to feel like you have mastery over these games. Do another 100 after that, and you will have mastery over these games. The LSAT, as far as the logic games are concerned, the LSAT is a test of how hard you can work. They don't hide the ball. All the games are available. I mean, with a Law Hub account or whatever they call it, all the games are available, and all you have to do is bust your ass. It's a perfect test of future lawyer ability. It is not an aptitude test. It's a test of how hard you can work. And if you're not willing to work hard, then you are not a lawyer. And so to that extent, I really love that the LSAT logic games exist, because I think that if you put the time and effort into it, you will learn to excel on the logic games. Andrea.
Hi, Nathan.
Hey.
I was wondering if when you decide to do worlds or not, is it more intuitive, or do you have specific things that you look for to make your decision?
Definitely watch the videos. I'm sure Abigail and Haley already posted in the chat some classes called The Purpose of Making Worlds. Watch those videos. The purpose of making worlds is to eliminate rules. If I can efficiently eliminate rules by making worlds, then I will make worlds. If I cannot efficiently eliminate rules by making worlds, then I won't. Consider that computer virus game that we started with today. I didn't make worlds there because I didn't feel like I was really going to eliminate any rules by making the worlds. Now, that's not to say that it was impossible. I just didn't happen to see it in the moment. I didn't see an opportunity to eliminate a rule by splitting worlds. So I just stuck with one world. But most games are going to have an opportunity to do that. Most games are going to have, well, you know, there's this broad set of solutions, or there's this broad set of solutions. And once I make that split, I won't have to think about this nasty rule anymore. I'll give you an example of a nasty rule that would make me want to make worlds every time. What if there was a rule that said, you know, if X is third, then P is first and Z is fifth. Let's say there's only 5 players in the game. This will be a kind of a real basic like toy game, but the world is complicated, right? If X is third, then I don't even remember what I said. If X is third, then P is first and Z is fifth, okay? I could write if X3, then P1 and Z5, and then I could write down the contrapositive of that rule. So if Z is not 5, or if P is not 1, then X is not 3. And I used to teach this. I no longer teach this. If you watch older videos of me, you will see me do this. Newer videos, you'll never see me do this, because it's so much easier to deal with this same rule by making worlds. I'm going to make a world where X is third and a world where X is not. In the world where X is third, P must be first and Z must be fifth. In the world where X is not third, the rule doesn't apply. This is less writing, and I'm making forward progress to solving the game instead of writing down rules and writing down contrapositives of rules. I have eliminated that rule by choosing to make a world where X is third and a world where X is not third. So that's an example of where, okay, here's a rule that is a real pain in the ass, but if I make worlds, I can just really kind of efficiently get rid of that rule. There are other common triggers. If there are big blocks that can only go in a couple places, I might eliminate that rule by making worlds. If there's one player who I see is mentioned in like 3 rules, I will very frequently make worlds based on that player, because I feel like I'm going to be able to knock out multiple rules at once. But please watch those videos about the purpose of making worlds. And then, man, if you start coming to any of our classes in the Demon, you're going to realize that making worlds is just the shit. I mean, it like it really does destroy rules and destroy games completely. Chantel, absolutely not. You are confusing sufficient for necessary. That is the LSAT's most common flaw. The rule was if X is third, then P must be first and Z must be fifth. That rule does not apply if X is not third. So I don't get to add that P is not first or Z is not fifth. Ironically, y'all like read the LSAT trainer or whatever, and you think that writing out the rule and then writing the contrapositive is important. It's not. It actually, ironically, and unfortunately, causes people to confuse sufficient for necessary. So at the LSAT Demon, we really don't even use the word contrapositive anymore other than to mock it. It is not something that you should be thinking about because it will cause you to confuse sufficient for necessary more often than not. So I would prefer, in a logic games context, I would prefer to just make 2 worlds, a world where the rule applies and I have applied it, a world where the rule doesn't apply, in which case there is no rule. Alexia, you've had a hand up for a minute.
Yeah, hopefully this doesn't happen, but if you're going through like diagramming and you get to the questions and you realize you like fundamentally misdiagram something, would you recommend just going on to the next game, or would you suggest try and go back and fix it?
Go back and fix it, and also stop doing that. You're like, no, because I mean it. I mean, I know I'm being kind of a smart ass, but I also mean it. Safety first on LSAT logic games. You're not allowed to make mistakes. You can't allow yourself to make mistakes. You have to be more careful in the first place. You have to slow down and be more careful in the first place. Now, sometimes you will think you're being careful and you will make an error, and then you'll get to the questions and you'll be like, wait a second, there are 2 or 3 or 4 or 0 right answers here. And if you ever end up in a situation where you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 0 right answers, you have made a mistake at some point along the line. The games are never broken. The games are always perfect. The entire history of the LSAT, the games have been perfect. And so you fucked up. And yeah, at that point, you need to go, oh no, and basically start over. But in 35 minutes, you don't have a lot of time to start over. So I would, though, start over. I mean, because, you know, what's the point of going on and doing a brand new game that might be harder? So I would start over, but my advice would be, well, you're probably going to end up retaking the LSAT, and you need to figure out how to not make that mistake in the first place. Selena.
Hi, Nathan. So I'm doing like -1 to maybe on a bad day, -3 on my logic game section. So not perfect, but almost there. And I never skip questions, not even substitution. I don't have to. But one question in particular that gives me pause that I think to myself, is this worth skipping, is when I'm in a game, and if it's game 4, I'll do it because I'm already at game 4. But if in a game 2 or 3, if you have a question that says like suspend the rule that you know, 6 is in, and then I have to re-diagram everything, make new inferences. I hate that the test takers do this because you're basically doing a game all over again. Yep. Do I just say like, screw it, I'm skipping it, I don't want to redo a whole diagram?
Sometimes, really the only time that I would skip on logic games, I might skip a rule substitution question because those questions can be harder and more time consuming. Those are questions that sound like, which one of the following, if substituted for the condition that X must go before Y, would have the same effect on determining the order in which the clowns get out of the clown car, or whatever we're doing. that question type can be really hard. It's always the last question in the game. And if you know that time is an issue for you, you might like try to guess on that question and then just move on to the next game. That's fine. Other games do have questions sometimes that are like, suppose the rule that S can't go forth is replaced with a rule that said S must go forth. And that is a big pain in the ass. I think that's what you're asking about specifically, Selena. And that does require you to start over. That said, I would do it myself. But I expect to do most games in 5 or 6 minutes. And so if that question takes me a couple minutes to do, whatever, I feel like I'm going to have time to spare. So I wouldn't skip it, do the next game, and then come back to it, because I don't want to like do half the job and then go do another job and then come back and have to re-familiarize myself with this job. So I would rather do it in that moment. I just don't really recommend a lot of skipping. I just wrote a column about how you really pretty much shouldn't skip. But you're at like a pretty high level now, Selena, and you're in a place where it's a kind of a good problem to have. Like if that's your problem, you don't have problems. All right. Sayo?
I had a question about question 14, where are there any tips for someone to know whether they're referring to a specific instance or the game in total? So where it says like peach and yellow cannot be one of the answers, like how will we know if they're referring like in the whole entire history of the game or in just a specific instance together?
The question makes perfect sense, Sayo. It's not as complicated as you think, but I think you're failing the reading comprehension of the question itself. The question says, number 14 says, if there are exactly 2 solid color rugs, then the colors of those 2 rugs cannot be what? They're not asking you which, I mean, like the answer is not peach and yellow because peach and yellow can't be used together. That's not why that's the answer. The reason why it's the answer is, I don't even remember why it's the answer. It's because you can't make a solution to the game where peach and yellow are each solid colored rugs at the same time.
I understand that. I actually got the question right and I understood it. I think in general, I've come across these questions where sometimes it's been hard. Like it's not like exactly of these 2 rugs, but just in general, where it might be like a cannot or, which ones could be like a total list of all the accurate ones. And so
Yeah, you
like,
just have to read it carefully. I mean, you got it right, Sayo. I think you figured it out. I think I misunderstood you. I think you got it right, and I think you figured it out. But there is no like shortcut to that. The answer to your question is read the question. What are they asking? Sometimes they're asking global questions about who can't go together ever. Here, for number 14, they're asking you a specific question about scenarios in which there are exactly 2 solid colored rugs. So for that question, they're definitely asking you about a setup that looks like this. They're not asking you about a world in which there are 2, 2, 1. They're only asking you about a world in which there are 2 solid colored rugs. And then there has to, by inference, there has to be a 3 colored rug. That's what they're asking you for this particular question. And so now what they're going to ask you, so then it says the colors of those 2 rugs can't be. So they're saying which 2 color, if you put it here and here, it'll break the game. And in this particular question, it turns out to be peach and yellow. I can't remember exactly why. It's just, there is no solution to the game that involves this. But they are here, they have narrowed down the scope of the question by starting it with if there are exactly 2 solid rugs. And I think you got it right.
Thanks.
Sure. Sorry, I'm not sure. I hope that was helpful. All right, we are winding down. We have 10 minutes left. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Jennifer.
Nathan, Barbara wants to know if you still stand by your books that are on Amazon or if you are away from those teaching methods now.
Shit has changed a little bit. I think that they are still helpful. That said, all of the written explanations are incorporated into the Demon. So I don't know why, I think the Logic Games book could be really good practice. I think that introducing the LSAT could still have some useful help in it. But we're digital now, Barbara. I just don't think you need really books. Even though Ben and I are about to write another book, I don't think you need books. I think you need the Demon. Jennifer.
Hi, I was wondering, back to your question about like whether or not to do worlds. Like, I've been doing worlds for most of my games, and my problem is I get to all 3 games and I pretty much get all of them correct, but I can never really make it to the 4th game. And I was just doing this game from test 87 and I made 4 worlds. Well, I mean, it was like it came down to 6 worlds and I had to cancel 2, but it ended up taking too long, even though it really helped me with, like, I got through the questions super fast, but the world itself took a long time, so I didn't make it to the last game. So would you just recommend in that situation when it's like more than 4 worlds, you should probably not do worlds?
No.
But just like practice to get faster at making them?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just need to get better at making worlds to begin with. Sometimes, so students think that students misunderstand. They think that the purpose of making worlds is to write out every possible solution to the game, and that is not what we're doing. The purpose for making worlds is to eliminate rules. The more you practice, the better you'll get at it, as long as you stay focused on, hey, I'm not making worlds or I'm not splitting worlds unless I get to eliminate rules by doing so.
Okay.
Okay. A common example is like, what if X has to go first or fifth and Y has to go second or fourth? Sometimes, I mean, you might make worlds there, but think about what you're doing. Like X has to go first or fifth, and Y has to go second or fourth. It's like, well, okay, that could happen in each world. Okay, so I'm gonna split now. I'm not saying that this is necessarily wrong. I'm just saying it's a lot of work that, like what if there's another rule that says, P has to go third or fifth or whatever. So you're going to then split this world and you're going to split this world. And now already you have 6 worlds. And it's just kind of like those, just because something is binary doesn't automatically mean that you're going to make worlds, because 2 turns into 4, turns into 8. And it's like, maybe there was a better solution. So I think the thing for you to do, Jennifer, is to make sure that you're reading the entire setup before you make a decision, like the paragraph part and all the rules, before you make a decision about how you're going to attack that game.
Yes.
And then go ahead.
So like in your example, you would probably just do like a back and forth, like an arc between the 2 instead of like.
Well, yeah, I mean, so like an even simpler example, like what if there's, well, I actually think the first game that we really did tonight, the first game that we actually did today, I don't know why I said tonight, it's noon for me. The first game that we did today had T or U has to go first and S has to pass to T or U. And that is a binary situation, but there's an easier way of noting it than splitting it into 2. Like, I'm not just going to automatically split it into 2 just because it's binary. Sometimes I can incorporate that flexibility by saying T or U before, whatever it was, S and R, U or T. That's what I had, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these slashes do the work. Other times I might do it with a handle. So T's in one of the spots, U's in the other spot, and then I put a handle like that to indicate that it can go both ways. I'm not gonna split that into two unless it has immediate implications in at least one of those worlds. Like it has to, I need other dominoes to fall to justify making that split. And when I see people, like if I ever look over somebody's shoulder and they have 8 worlds, very frequently I'm like, wait a second, you could have used slashes or you could have used a handle because you have a trivial amount of difference between those worlds. And there was an easier way to incorporate that trivial difference than writing out a whole other world or set of worlds.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that ringing bells
That
at all,
makes sense.
Jennifer? Is that sounding familiar?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what's going on. The more you practice, the better you'll get at deciding, oh, these worlds are trivially different, so I don't need to make the split.
Okay. Thank you.
Beautiful. I'm gonna stop the recording there.